Welcome to the Hospitality Room, presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford and Blair Cartwright, glad you are with us. We appreciate being part of your day. You can email us. You hit us up on Twitter. Mr. Swofford, how are you today? It's
I'm
June.
good. It is June, and I am so close from hitting the vacation button on the email, the auto reply, that I can almost taste it. I have literally got an hour and 8 minutes left in my working career until vacation hits.
Oh my goodness! I've never done that. What happens to the email? Does it still go to your inbox,
It
or
does.
okay, and
Yeah,
then it just
I don't
piles
turn it
up?
on. Yeah, I don't turn it on either way because it's, you know how it is in our line of work. You're
Yes,
always working even when you're not. So,
yes.
but
The
I just
lines
may
are
be a little bit slow.
blurred.
Yes. So
Yes.
I'm really good about reading an email and then hitting the mark as unread button. It's like I'll get back to you later,
Ooh, yeah, it's clever. I like that.
just to say how important it actually.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get right to our headlines, shall we? Razorback Baseball. Well, that's not the right one. Let's go to the one that's proper. I'm out of practice. It's over. The baseball season's over. Didn't make it out of the regional.
Nope.
Shocking, I think, is one way to put it. Um, wow. I don't think anybody. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know that anybody thought they could get to a Monday game and prevail, but man, the way it played out, ugh. I mean, 1-2, and really not even. I don't know. Do you feel like they had a chance against SEMA the second time or K State?
Yeah, I think it's that they lost didn't surprise anybody because I mean we've watched this Arkansas baseball team the last month and a half and realized there's a lot of, as Dave called it, cracks in the armor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think what is really surprising is how those games were lost. The pitching was bad. Granted, for Hagan, it was one bad inning, and
Mm-hmm.
hadn't had a bad inning since what his second inning of the season, all the way back in
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
So you can't point to Hagan Smith's one bad inning and say, "Oh, that's where the season was lost," but that's where they lost that game. Obviously, giving up six in a frame, you can't do. But the pitching was so bad against SEMO, games one and game three, or game
Mm-hmm.
four, I guess, in the region. I don't know how that happens. How do you have that poor of a staff that you're letting a team from the Ohio Valley touch you up for 9 runs? Like you've got an 8-0 lead and you blow it. Like it's those type of things
Yeah.
that are really surprising. And I think we're going to see what happened at Vanderbilt today may happen at Arkansas. Maybe not at the wholesale changes, but there's going to be significant staff changes. And Vanderbilt announced two staff changes today: hitting
Mm.
coach and pitching coach both out the door.
Wow.
And so I think in the Gremlin that you've heard them, it's all been over social media. Arkansas is going to have to make a change with their offensive approach because it's not working in the postseason.
Yeah. Like you said, the 8 runs, and then you have the lead. It was almost reminiscent of the Super Regional against NC State, where you scored 21 runs in the first game, and it's like, oh, it's a cakewalk at this point, and but you don't even get out of the game unscathed, and then you have to burn all the pitchers on in game one, and you're not deep, and then it's like, well, we're gonna go all. We got Hagen, well, he's human, which showed, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just yeah, something's got to change. I don't
You've
know
got
if
runners at
it's
second and third, and you don't move them over. Like, you do nothing. You
yeah.
do one out and second and third, and you can't move them. Like that's a problem.
They haven't passed the eye test, honestly, for me in 3 or 4 years, and that's I don't want to say LSU's the standard, but you watch those guys in postseason. Hey, if it means whatever to move the guy over, they do it. Timely hit, whatever to the just ball player type stuff. And Arkansas has lacked that the last 3 or 4 years of just put the ball in play, move the runner, just the little things, steal a base, whatever. And it's like it's become too much Earl Weaver. Let's rely on the 3-run homer.
I'm a casual observer. Granted, I can kind of retain things from maybe better than most.
Yeah.
But Arkansas's lineup was so predictable. You knew exactly how they were going to take the approach. Wahiba Aloy is going to swing at anything close to the zone first or second pitch of the at bat, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Kendall Diggs is not going to swing the bat at all until there are two strikes.
Yeah.
And
And the
I don't keep analytics. I don't write things down. But just watching that team, you knew 100% of the time I'll always swing at the first pitch, and Diggs is not going to swing at all. And those are supposed to be two of the bigger bats in your lineup. And the slash numbers from the transfers that came in are damning. If you
hmm
haven't seen them, I think it was Hutch who tweeted it out.
yeah.
Of the four transfer players who came in, all of their numbers, you're talking on base, slugging, and average, significantly. I'm not necessarily cut in half, but significantly cut. Aloy's numbers and Wilsmeyer numbers are night and day. It's
hmm
unreal to see the production drop off between where they played last year and Wilmsmeyer played in the same conference. So that you're talking apples to apples comparison there. And what they had this year is just it, it's not working. And
No.
you can talk launch angle and bat speed and revolutions per second, whatever the case you want to talk about. It's not working. You're not producing runs. When you're number 64 of 64 in offense and the teams that make the tournament in batting average and slugging percentage, you got to make a change. And either
Yeah.
philosophy or coach, and maybe that has to happen by doing the same with both.
Yeah, I agree. Something's got to give. And how many times have we seen it in the postseason, especially in the NCAA tournament? Because in the SEC, it's all about power. You get
Hmm.
to the postseason, you get somebody throwing off speed, mixing, throwing a little slower, not trying to power it, and they corkscrew themselves into the ground, swinging from their heels.
Yeah, that's what they did. The guy against Simo's throwing 65. Don't get me started on the announcers, by the way, for the regional,
Oh
but
yeah,
throwing lollipops up there and they can't hit it.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
It was
brutal.
it was bad and disappointing. So we shall see what happens next. As for the overall tournament, maybe the biggest surprise is a two seed did not advance. It's all ones and threes,
Hmm.
which is crazy.
Yeah, and I was actually just thinking that this really just popped in my head. I hadn't thought about it. Arkansas went 1-2 in the regional and never played the two seed. They got about beat by the threes and fours. Uh, So yeah, I mean it's college baseball is funny. I mean there's usually a pretty significant gap between the haves and the have-nots, but I think we're starting to see more and more. The three seeds are a lot better than they have been in the past. I mean because we're talking three seeds like Kansas State and I know they didn't advance, but Texas and teams like that. We're starting to see more of those mid-level teams get the nod as the two seed, while those Power Five schools like a Florida are sliding to a three seed or
hmm
sneaking in as three seeds. And
Yeah,
so it's
five three seeds, and Evansville, who was a four,
mhm,
are in the super. Yeah, yeah, Florida, a team that I didn't think deserved to be in, is in the supers.
right.
Um, the other threes: West Virginia, K State, UConn, and Oregon. So, I
Hmm.
mean, of those, K State and probably UConn and West Virginia. I mean, Florida and Oregon obviously have a lot of history in baseball, though Oregon's program is
But you're
Nike
still talking
funded.
Power
Yeah.
Four programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So really, UConn and Evansville are the only non-power schools
Hmm.
still left. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays. But I also think too, because of the scholarship limit and with NIL, it's probably a lot easier to have parity in baseball. Because, of course, it's becoming popular. College baseball is, and it's going to be interesting to see if this new scholarship where they can give unlimited scholarships, if that has an effect on the parity, because let's face it, the power schools are going to stock up all majority of the talents, or it will portal in to a Power Five school.
I'm with you. It's the field is starting to be leveled, certainly across the board. Um, I don't. They've got to figure out what they're going to do because I mean, essentially, scholarship counts in baseball don't mean anything anymore
Yeah,
because of NIL. Like, oh yeah, you're not on scholarship, but you're making $50,000 from a car dealership or $100,000 from a factory in town. It's I don't know.
yeah.
Don't get
I'd
me
be
started on
interested.
either one of those
I'd
things.
be interested to see how much though NIL is in play in baseball, because let's face it, we associate the majority of that with football first, and then men's basketball,
Basketball.
and then baseball's further down. So We'll see. All right, our next headline: the Women's College World Series. Two teams are left: Oklahoma and Texas, and guess what? They're coming to the SEC next year.
Yeah.
Good luck, everyone else.
hmm It's pretty much how that's going to work. Like your little conference you think's really good at softball. You're about to find out what really good is with
Good
those two
Lord.
coming
For a school like Arkansas, I mean, you're knocking on the door. Does this make it harder now
in. Yes.
because you've got the two preeminent teams coming into your league, and they're also, you know, border states?
Yeah. So now you're guaranteed essentially that even if you host a regional, you're going to be going against an SEC school and the super regional. Because
Yeah,
we
well,
brought
that's
it up
true.
last time with these two teams coming in, and of course Vanderbilt doesn't play softball. You've got 15 teams in your conference. You're going to have 15 teams in the NCAA tournament, and you can send multiple and from the same conference to the same regional. Obviously, they try not to, and so that means you're guaranteed that Arkansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas, all there are going to be hoping. And so you're just praying that you get paired up with Oklahoma State to
Yeah.
reach the College World Series. Which, oh, by the way, you're not on that level either. They're still significantly better than what you've got. I don't know if that trend continues with you and Texas out of the Big 12. Maybe everybody in that league takes a step down. I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be laughable the talent difference between the SEC and everybody else. There's going to be some good teams, UCLA, Stanford. You're going to have your smattering of teams, but there's not going to be. I mean, the gap is going to be so astronomical between the depth of an entire conference. But, but if you're Arkansas, if you're Kentucky, some pretty good programs, you're not even in the same stratosphere as Oklahoma and Texas in softball.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. That is what you see behind me is Raycom Park. Got to sneak over there and watch the final Pac-12 contest. Well, the final game between two Pac-12 teams, UCLA and Stanford. Uh, One thing that stood out, but well, two things. One, the Stanford pitcher would go 70, 58, 70, 56, 72. I mean, she was mixing speeds. It was insane.
Yeah,
But it also reminded me that the NCAA championships are a TV show,
yeah,
first and foremost, because I felt like we spent more time waiting for commercials to end than seeing the actual ball game.
yeah. That's where, especially in softball and really good pitched baseball, you've got a lot of downtime. And you
Mm-hmm.
see it in the College World Series the most, especially in softball when they're mowing them down. Inning may take 90 seconds, but oh by the way, commercial breaks 3.5 minutes.
Oh,
I
at
mean,
least. Yeah.
it's bad. You got to put a cap, and that's why if you have a chance to watch a Arkansas Activities Association state championship game, those commercial breaks are 60 seconds, no matter what. Get them
Yes.
in, get them out.
Yeah. Which I think helps the pace of play. It
100% it
was it,
does.
it was interesting because I watched a couple of games after I got back, and it didn't seem like it was that long. But when you're in the stadium, oh my gosh, it's like a bowl game where the timeouts are
Mm-hmm.
4 minutes long. So I thought that was kind of wild. All right, next topic is basketball. Continues. Calipari continues to dominate the news. Trevin Brazil is coming
Yeah.
back. I'm surprised. I did not expect that.
I didn't either because I thought that he would, maybe garner some NIL money, maybe a significant request, but his availability wasn't there last year. And you've heard the analogy or the whatever you want to call it, the your best ability is your availability. And he's hurt. He didn't show up in big games. He kind of disappeared. I think it's a really good addition for Arkansas
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen people, throw out their mock starting five. He's not a starting five caliber player on the roster they have right now. He's a really, really good guy coming off the bench, and maybe you can mix him in to your starting rotation. Maybe he gets 15 minutes, and the guy coming off the bench gets 25. I could see something like that. Um, it's a luxury for Cal. I mean, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a guy of that level, at least who could be that level, coming back. Yeah, it's very surprising he came back. I'm with you there.
Yeah, it's a good win for Cal. I think if he can't make it in Cal's system, that's not good for him probably long term. Bigger shock, college basketball combining with the NBA. The Lakers and Danny Hurley apparently
Yeah.
discussing things that would have a massive effect on college basketball because UConn looking for a three-peat. Do you buy? I mean, Hurley apparently told his team, "Yes, I'm talking to them."
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you think it can happen? I mean, if I'm Hurley, I ask for the moon.
You have to ask for the moon, and on two, you're going to find out how serious he was that his wife doesn't want to leave Connecticut, because
Mm-hmm.
that was one of his arguments about why he didn't take the Kentucky job. It's like, oh, my wife really likes it here; she'll murder me if I get her to move, etc., etc. Well, moving to Lexington, Kentucky, and Los Angeles are two very different things. So
Yes.
I understand that the Lakers. I mean, granted, Kentucky was probably willing to give him $10 or $12 million. So like the Lakers are going to be able to give him silly money. I mean, we get that.
Well, maybe
I
they're
don't. Yeah,
notoriously cheap, though.
I don't know that he fixes the Lakers. I don't
Oh
know that he
no.
was a successful NBA coach because he is a wine bag. If you watch him coach in a game, and you can't argue with the results,
Mm-hmm.
he is on the officials more than he talks to his own team.
Yeah. Oh, it's a long term play too. It's not the Lakers are not a quick fix. So
Yeah, because they're already talking. You've seen the reports. They're shopping Anthony Davis. The
ooh,
talk is LeBron's going to opt out and go play wherever Bronny's drafted, which he's probably not going to get drafted. The
mm,
best thing I ever saw was USC had him listed as 6'4", and
yeah.
then at the NBA draft scouting combine, the draft combine, he was
Wow. The old media guide height.
exactly. So Bronny's not going to be an NBA player
Well, but here's the thing though. If you draft him, I could see a team draft him and hoping Pop comes along.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fringe team who is really struggling for ticket sales, like if you're the Hornets or
Anybody.
yeah, anybody, like if you're that bottom feeder in the East, which whoever may that may be the Hornets. I mean, you're in the
Mm-hmm.
worst conference and you're the worst team in the worst conference. Why not? What's it going to hurt?
Yeah. No, I agree. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, the Caitlin Clark thing. Everybody's talking about it. She's driving the business. She's getting the business. Is there anything to this in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and you watch it. I mean, she's getting knocked on the floor more times than. And granted, that those are the clips that we're seeing. I mean, we're not
Yes.
seeing the full 40-minute, 48-minute clip of the game. We're seeing the clip of her getting laid out. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the one that obviously everybody's talking about right now was egregious. Like, it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's the NBA or the WNBA. There's no place for that in
No.
basketball.
It's thuggery.
Um, it is thuggery, and you know, it's everybody wants to make it about race, and maybe this is about race. You know, the WNBA is probably more skewed to black women than it is to white women. I think we're all in agreement there. And now a white woman comes in and is now bringing all the attention, all the money, all the TV sponsorships to the sport. It probably has ruffled some feathers, but I think it was Whitlock, one of the national people, said this best, and so I can't take credit for saying this. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
rising tides lift all boats, right?
Yep.
So, like, who cares what she does or how she acts or who she is? No matter the case may be, she is going to put more money in your pocket. Why not try to not take care of her? No, maybe don't go out of your way to knock her on the floor where she potentially could get hurt and nobody's watching.
Mm-hmm.
That's
True.
just my opinion. And two, the second part of that is how has Indiana not signed or gotten one of their players to be all right? You know what? You're now Bill Lambier,
Yeah.
or you're now Dennis Rodman. Anybody touches our cash cow, our Caitlin Clark, you go there and take their head off
Yeah.
because that's
I'm a
what it's
little.
getting.
No, I'm
But you
with
got
you.
to get to that.
That's the biggest surprise to me is the fact that her teammates did not seem to rise up to respond on her
Hmm.
behalf, which is a little surprising.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
I'm sure that's a real interesting conversation in their locker room. So, yeah, I mean, let's face it, race is an issue, sexuality is an issue
Yeah,
because you have
yeah, you're right.
different sides of it, and no, and that's been an issue in women's basketball for as long as anybody can remember.
Yeah,
And it's one of those unspoken topics that nobody wants to talk about. So,
yeah, but she is so important to the game. I mean, she and Angel Reese and
oh yeah,
uh, Brink for the Los Angeles that played at Stanford. Like this rookie class is going to have so many more eyeballs on them than the
Hmm.
rest of the league. But also, I think there's a lot of jealousy too because
Oh,
those other
totally.
players and Diana Taurasi is driving the boat on this because she's acting like a damn fool too,
Hmm.
in some of her comments. I was like, just because you didn't raise the standard of the viewership of the league doesn't mean you should treat these players because they did and you didn't any less. Because like to me, because they're almost like they're getting the short end of the stick because they brought the attention and the players who were in the league didn't. Like they're
Yeah.
not get like they feel like they hey you're the rookie you shouldn't get special treatment even though that you're giving us literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm talking about per player and
Oh,
millions
yeah.
if not billions or more money to the league.
Yeah, and they're flying on charter planes as a result of that. Um,
Correct.
it. I heard a good comparison. Now it's not apples to apples, but when Tiger came on the PGA Tour,
Mm-hmm.
he changed things, and there was a lot of animosity, a lot of jealousy, a lot of disrespect until they finally realized, until the light bulb went off, and it's like, hey, this kid's making me money. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
That's a very very good comparison. Obviously, yeah, you said it's not apples to apples, but yeah, you're getting a completely different audience than you're used to having. Let's be real.
Yes.
When Tiger Woods joined the PGA Tour, middle-aged white men, the only people who watched the
Yeah.
PGA Tour,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
it completely changed everything. I think the WNBA has done is the exact same crossroads. You're getting such a completely different audience now. They don't know how to handle it, and also they're not handle the WNBA as a league is not handling it right now. Because
Oh,
somebody
totally.
asked, where is the commissioner not coming out in this? And then the second question was, who is the WNBA commissioner? And
That's,
nobody had the answer. Nobody
yeah.
has a clue who that person is.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. Speaking of basketball, the NBA finals start tonight. Interest?
A little, you got an Arkansas kid in it, Big
Yep.
Dan
Mr.
Gafford from El
Gafford.
Dorado. Yeah. So I'll kind of like pay attention to it a little bit. Um, but I mean, Boston's so much. I'd say Celtics in six. I'll give the Mavs a couple games, maybe on their home floor. I just don't think it's close.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'll watch it for Gafford, but otherwise, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's June. We're starting. And then the Stanley Cup finals also. Edmonton versus Florida. What? Tell me that sounds. I mean, it's like we're talking hockey.
Yeah.
Miami and Edmonton. You would never, ever put those two cities in the same sentence.
No, and I probably have more interest in the Stanley Cup Finals than I do the NBA Finals, but I
Hmm.
like hockey. And
Yes.
playoff hockey's awesome.
Oh,
And the Edmonton Oilers picked up so many more fans this week than they had last week. It's unreal.
yes.
Social
Yes.
media is a heck of a thing. But
Yes, it is.
yeah,
And if you don't know, Google.
yeah, I mean, I couldn't go on Twitter for days without that thing being almost the first thing on the For You tab.
Oh yeah, it's
Not on the people I follow, but on the For You tab, it was there. You,
yes.
you couldn't go anywhere without it.
You
I'm
can't
not mad
escape
about
it.
it.
No,
Yeah, I'm
but
not mad.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So
Connor
who?
McDavid though is the best player
Oh,
that you've never heard of. I mean, it's
hmm,
unreal what he does. I mean, for the casual hockey fan, probably doesn't know who he is. The point totals and the goals scored. I mean, if he stays healthy, he has a chance to rewrite some of hockey's biggest records.
yes, and he's playing for the franchise in which the great one start. So that there's that whole thing. But the crazy thing is, the best team in the league's probably Florida, which
Hmm.
just I just can't wrap my. I mean, granted, they've won the cup a couple times, but that just I don't know. It just seems so weird to say
Yeah,
the
it does.
best team in hockey, a winter sport, is in Florida.
Yeah, South Florida on top of that. But I
Yeah,
mean, Tampa Bay has been probably the best team in the last 10 years.
yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like okay, I can do Tampa, but I can't do Miami with hockey.
yeah. Well,
Maybe
in
it's the
Vegas,
whole Miami
yeah,
Vice thing.
yeah. I mean, Vegas was really good a couple years ago. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. I mean, because I grew up really loving hockey in the '90s when it was on ESPN all the time, and the
Yes.
worst thing hockey ever did was sell or show the verses back in the day. When you listen to Gary Thorne and those guys, that
Oh,
that music hit, but all that mattered back then were the Canadians and the Bruins and the Red Wings and the Blackhawks, the traditional powers that you think of. And now you
Mm-hmm.
look at the standings, and all of a sudden, a team from the desert, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Los Angeles has been good at times, and the Florida teams. I'm like, what are we watching here? I thought this was
Yeah.
supposed to be, the Mason Dixon and North, not the other way around.
Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. All right. Football. 84 days. Oh yeah, Razorback football is coming up. They sent an
Yeah.
email out. I don't know if you heard about this or not. Um, I guess it went to every foundation member. It was thank you for becoming a season ticket holder. And I'm like, I didn't order season tickets for football. And then they sent out an email a few days later saying, oh, we're sorry, that was inappropriate. And then attached in that email was the original email saying I was a season ticket holder. I almost think this was a very clever marketing tool because you had no thoughts of being a season ticket holder, and then you got it, and you're like, they're trying to play. But then I saw where it's like $90 for a ticket to the Southwest Classic. Man, I mean, I love football, but good Lord, it's getting expensive, isn't it?
Is that the last one?
The last one in Jerry World, yes, allegedly, but I don't
Why?
know if it's worth $90.
Podcast. Can't even do a podcast at your
Ah.
office in peace. Just, she's chirping in.
Uh-oh. What's her
Yeah.
thought on football? What's the
What's your
record?
thought on you want to be a Razorback season ticket holder? Yeah, she's not driving. Not on that.
But yet here we are, 84 days, and there is still no buzz. No
The
one's
only
really
people
talking
talking about
about it.
college football, the only people talking about college football in Arkansas are people who are more excited about the new video game coming out than they are the actual football team.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
I mean, like we had in earlier, we talked basketball, Brazil coming back. I I honestly don't know. I bet you right now, and tell me if I'm wrong. You could ask the average Razorback fan to name 5 basketball players that could do it, even though it's a whole new roster. They couldn't name 5 football players.
I agree. The give a damn factor is zero right now, and it's going to be even less if it's possible if they lose to Oklahoma State. I mean, there's so much riding on game 2 of the football season. And I think I said it last week. If Arkansas loses that game, and especially if they get blown out,
Oh,
people will not even care about the team before they play a home game
it's amazing.
because you got to week one's in Little Rock. It's like there were people who completely let go of the rope on this year's team and the coaching staff before they play a home game.
It's unbelievable. So what are we going to do until basketball season?
Yeah, just count down the days, I guess.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, as we go inside a minute, uh, email us, hit us up on Twitter. There was some NFL news. Justin Jefferson got a massive deal.
Mhm.
Christian McCaffrey got a new deal. The NFL's, the NFL still manages to make a little noise.
Yeah.
Anything particular jump out at you?
No, I mean the contract for Jefferson is going to create some waves in the NFL because he got so much. Because you got to remember, Jamar Chase is due a contract. Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers is due a contract. T. Higgins, obviously another Bengals receiver, is due for one. He's playing on the franchise tag, so that's going to again the rising tides raise all boats. The contract for those other receivers are going to be much larger because of the huge deal that Jefferson just signed.
Does Dak get a new deal within the next 2 weeks?
No,
Final word.
see you on the beach next week.